Hey dolls, welcome back to your Royal BFF, the People's Duchess. We've made it. Oh my goodness. We've made it barely by the skin of our teeth. This has been a very long year. 2025 has probably been the longest year on record. 30 months, and every month was more crazy than the last. But here we are. Happy New Year. You've made it. Be proud of yourselves. If you have any really good sparkling wine or perhaps Megan's Brut, sip a glass for me. I'm making some honey glazed cornbread right now, and my whole house smells amazing. So usually I do like a year-end fashion review, but this year I thought I would do something a little bit different. So I have a compilation of the top 10 moments that we love from 2025. Moments that we went through as a community this year, and I want to go back on some of the best highlights from past episodes. So starting strong at number 10 is the Power of Self-Respect episode. I recall this being the most trifling episode I've ever done, and there's been a significant number of trifling things that people have done in our periphery, but this is the most trifling couple I've ever seen in my life. Y'all remember these two, the pastor couple, the Steele. The pastor and his wife got up here and told the entire world this very horrifying story and basically excused years of trauma and abuse by saying that God told her to do it. It was disgusting.
Literally, he backslid for 5 years. Yeah. So he left this holy lifestyle back to smoking weed, drinking, chasing women. We would fight. Our house became the party house because my relationship with Jesus was attached to him. So if he went to church, I went to church. If he didn't go to church, I didn't go to church. And it is a form of idol worship, which I know that now. But he was my connection to Jesus. So at that time, I was chasing with knives, trying to jump on hoods of cars, fighting women. You know, that was kind of a common thing. We were living in Section 8 housing on food stamps, having children, and it got so crazy that one day I said, I can't do this anymore because someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to either go to jail or get killed because I was going to leave it. It was really bad. And I had my 2 babies with me trying to leave, and I put my hand on the door, and I'm not going to say God told me to stay or leave, but I felt like I couldn't leave. And I cried because I felt like I can't leave. And I went to bed that night and I had a dream of him preaching. Yeah. And I woke up the next morning. Well, first of all, you were upset that I was still home.
Yeah, because I got home. I'm like,
Jesus. And I had a radical heart shift from that moment. I got in my word, under my word. I just completely changed as a person. And I realized that God loves me, that God has a purpose and plan for my life, that God chose me, that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Yeah. So if he would call me out my name, it wouldn't bother me because I allowed God's voice to be louder than his. And when I was going through transition of him not coming home on the weekends, not being there, telling me I hate you, I'll never love you, I wish I never married you, I knew that life and death is in the power of the tongue through the word of God. So I would say, you will love me one day. We will have a good marriage one day. And although he would go out for weekends, I would literally help him get ready to go meet a side chick by ironing his clothes and getting him ready for the night. And these are all things I was graced to do. I would not encourage anybody to do that unless you are graced by God to do this. But once I knew who I was, I realized, the enemy's after him. So I began to pray for him, not for my husband before, but as a soul. I didn't want him to be lost.
Ugh, God, ladies, it is never that serious. Honestly, just get you some cats, maybe a dog or 2, maybe a ferret. It's the same thing as a man. There's no reason to have to put up with a man doing that to you. This was the most disgusting crap I've ever heard in my entire life. I almost gagged so many times doing that episode. And it was juxtaposed against Megan's Time 100 keynote speech that she had in New York. And the two could not be more different. The 2 women couldn't be more different. The 2 men involved couldn't be more different. Like, if it ain't Prince Harry and Meghan, I don't want it. Number 9 is the Countdown to Nobel episode. I really love this because it highlighted all of their work with Archwell, and I just feel really strongly after watching the years of them doing the work, showing up, doing the good, winning the awards, winning the recognition. I feel very strongly that they are now on Nobel shortlists. Given the incredible body of work that they've done in just a short 5 years, given all of the accolades that they've received in that time, there's no reason that they wouldn't be. I personally feel like it's going to be sooner rather than later, 2028 max. There is going to be a Nobel Peace Prize in there somewhere. Number 8 is Unpopular Opinion. Unpopular Opinion was one of my favorites because it centered around how I feel about their titles and why I think that they should just throw those titles in the dustbin and be done with it. It was also a tribute episode to the late and great Malcolm Jamal Warner, who tragically passed away this year. And one of the greatest things besides working with Megan on Suits is this clip that I found of him speaking with Touré, who is this like really problematic nobody really, but Touré asked him about Megan and he had the sweetest response.
So you were in Suits for 2 years.
Yeah, man.
Did you work with Meghan Markle?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like?
It was cool. We didn't really have scenes together, so I'd see her, and she was really nice, really cool. My best friend, I was talking about Chris, he's a stage manager. He used to stage manage Deal or No Deal. And Megan used to be on Deal or No Deal. He's had more interaction with her than I did, but she was always cool.
Let me ask you something. Did you know she was black?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah. I'm like, yo, I got black dar, so we see it.
Yeah.
But instead of like, I can see where a lot of people be like, I didn't know.
Yeah. The great thing is that she knew. She knows.
Malcolm was such a class act. He's clearly highly media trained, but he's also really classy. And his answer to Toré's obvious trap of a question was just so thoughtful. And I'm sure Megan appreciated that. And I'm so glad that Megan had a chance to work with him even briefly before he passed away. Rest in peace to the great Malcolm Jamal Warner. Moving on to number 7, the royal wedding pop-up video episode. I love this episode. Clearly the wedding occurred in 2018, but this episode was one of my favorites of this year. It was really intense. It was the first time that I ever did this style of editing and this style of video, and I love the way it came out. Loved every bit of it, and I love the response I got from it. You guys really enjoyed it. Obviously, the snark was still there, but as a content creator, I love keeping my material fresh and new and fun while still incorporating the stuff that you guys love to see. And in this video, obviously, you can see my snark throughout the entire thing, but also it's embedded with a lot of the facts that I think a lot of Sussex Squad didn't know. I just really like experimenting with different mediums and different types of presentations and visualizations. And as a millennial, I loved pop-up video. So I felt like this was just, something really fun, something really cool. And I will have more pop-up video for you guys very soon here, but it's been really tricky getting around the copyright for a lot of these videos. USA Network, Peacock, they've just straight up said, no, get out of my face. While other entities have been a little bit more lenient, but still limited. So new episodes are definitely in production. Stay tuned. You'll see a lot more of this in 2026. Number 6, how to be a player. When we saw Megan pop up at Emma Greed's Seat at the Table event, you just knew that she had pretty much made a household name for herself. Emma Greed is the co-founder of Skims, Good American, and a couple of other brands, so she's in. She is firmly rooted in the upper echelon of Hollywood, of business, of finance. So when we saw Megan not only seated at the table, but seated as the guest of honor right next to Emma at that table in the most powerful room in Hollywood that night. And then come to find out that Megan had supplied the wine. So this is a massive distribution deal and the start of something incredible. I mean, the guest list for this evening was insane. Don't get me wrong, Megan's been an it girl for as long as we can all remember from her Suits days, but this Seat at the Table event ushered in a new era for her, particularly as it pertains to As Ever, which is relatively new, but already making massive headwaves, featured in so many different periodicals, magazines. It made Oprah's Favorite Things for 2025. As Ever has had an equally huge year, and it's literally months old. Insane. Number 5, Megan Takes New York. This was the soft launch of Megan's new show, With Love Megan, as she surprised the audience in New York that was doing the screening. It was the cutest thing, y'all. Tears and champagne flowed. They were so happy to see her. One of the girls said, "Oh, I knew she was gonna be here," but everyone else looked so shocked. This was one of my favorite moments from the year, and I can only imagine how those ladies felt having supported her from the TIG. It was just a night of warmth and gift giving, and it was gorgeous in that room that they holiday setup. Definitely one of my favorite moments from the year. Number 4, a meeting of queens. 2 queens sitting down together to maximize their joint slay. This is the height of royalty. Queen Tina Knowles, queen mother of Queen Bee, sat down with Princess Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, Princess of the Nigerian Realms. What a meeting of the minds. And this meeting likely occurred via Queen Bee, who had reached out to Meghan previously. During the documentary, we all saw how she texted Meghan and gagged Harry, left him stunned with her message of support, breaking generational curses. It was so good. So Tina meeting with Meghan about her book and business and life in general on Confessions of a Female Founder was just natural. It was like a natural step that was bound to happen. I love that they are supportive of each other. That discussion was so deep, so meaningful. Tina had so many good gems. It was really just 2 queens helping each other adjust their crowns. And it's conversations like these that helped Meghan secure her Signal Award for Confessions of a Female Founder. Anything Meghan touches turns to gold. She has the Midas touch in terms of the quality of her work and the content that she produces. This interview with Queen Tina was an example of how thorough and dedicated Meghan is to her craft and how much people want to be a part of that. Number 3, breaking generational curses. I loved this episode because it was very meaningful and poignant. Meghan and Harry had released the baby mama dance video that they took in the hospital while she was delivering Princess Lilibet. It broke the internet. In fact, it broke a lot of brains. I really enjoyed the suffering that many a Karen were experiencing when she dropped this video. Many an Englishman malfunctioned when they saw this video. You wish this were you, but for one, your partner hates you, and for 2, you don't have any rhythm. You could never do this. I loved how delicious those meltdowns were in the UK. There was so much commentary on it. There was so much discussion on it. She really did break the mold. It just ushered in this new reality that you don't have to be anyone you don't want to be. I really enjoyed Harry and Meghan showing us more of their personality in that clip, and I really enjoyed going through and discussing the differences between Spare and the Dimbleby autobiography. I love discussing the healing, the juxtaposition of how Harry and Meghan are raising their children versus how Prince Harry was raised. It was just a really wonderful episode. And again, Beyonce saying that, you're breaking generational curses really inspired that episode for me. So number 2, I had a hard time deciding which would be number 1 or number 2, but it is the Jedi Princess Couture episode. Once again, Meghan broke the internet when she appeared at her good friend Pier Paolo Piccioli's Balenciaga debut at Paris Fashion Week. She looked like a Jedi, a Padawan wearing that gorgeous white number, and then she hit us with that Luke Skywalker all black Jedi look for the after party and just completely broke the internet. She came, she saw, she conquered, she got the heck up out of there. She did some behind the scenes too. She did like this carousel reel of her and Daniel and her hairstylist having a good time out and about on the town. Loved everything about this trip, including the fact that Daniel was so gracious enough to give us the behind the scenes on how they got Meghan's makeup look. He walked us through it. He was so kind and so gracious. As you can see there, they laid out a bunch of reds, and a lot of people were like, oh, she should have worn a red lip because the rest of her outfit is so neutral. But I think that obviously they tried. They saw what worked, what didn't, and eventually she went with the nude lip, and I'm so glad that she did because that nude lip makes way more sense. The pop of color would have been cute, but I'm glad that she went with the nude. It was everywhere. It was literally everywhere. Every magazine had Meghan on the best dressed, as well as fawning over this particular makeup look. And it was funny because this was around the same period that her sister-in-law was busted for lying that she had done her wedding makeup, which was crazy because I remember that wedding, I remember the makeup, and I remember distinctly thinking, God, that looks terrible. She must have done it herself. So when she told people that she did it herself, it made sense. We didn't question it. We didn't blink twice at that because it looked so terrible, particularly the raccoon eyes. That eyeliner was crazy as hell. So we all just believed that she did her makeup. But as it turns out, this lady named Hannah from Bobby Brown Studios did her makeup. So we were all just flabbergasted because here's Megan's makeup artist walking us through how he got the look, juxtaposed against Kate lying about having done her own wedding makeup, and it was terrible anyways. So yeah, there was that. So before we get to number one, I want to get to the honorable mentions. These are 2 episodes that I couldn't fit in, but I think are worthy of a little bit of spotlight. One of them is the Unbelievable episode. Kate Middleton also broke the internet this year, but not for any good reasons. She came out looking like Cousin It in that blonde wig. It looked like she just threw the wig in the air and then ran under it and let it fall onto her head and then just left the house like that. It was so weird, and everybody was like, this is weird, right? Yeah, this is weird, right? Even the royalists were like, dude, what the hell? And not to like beat a dead douche when she's down, but Kate Middleton is probably one of the worst people I've seen in a while. And no, I don't feel bad at all about dragging her by her poorly installed K-tip extensions, because she then lied and said that, oh no, it's not a wig, it's the Greek sun. Girl, if you don't sit your bleach blonde, bad built, lying ass down somewhere and shut the hell up, because the next day, like literally the next day, she went right back to a darker hue. They had a field day with that. And there's this Niecy Nash clip that I loved in that episode, and I want to play it real quick.
You can't have that when the edges is in Africa and the back is in China. Them continents don't meet, huh? You gonna get you some hair that blend in.
Niecy Nash is my favorite character ever on any show ever. She is just so good. Bring back Reno 911, please. The second honorable mention wasn't a real episode, but I mentioned it all 2025. I'm still trying to manifest this episode into reality. One of the best things I think any of us will ever see is if Harry sat down with Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson and they had this kind of all-encompassing conversation about humanity. They're both humanitarians. Harry comes from a very different humanitarian and human experience than Dr. Tyson, and I would love for these two to get together and talk about it. And I think some of their guests should include the Obamas, Dwayne Wade and Gabby Union, and our favorite special detective, Olivia Benson. This cast of special guests on a special episode of Podcast Bros would just tickle my fancy so good. So those are the honorable mentions. And number one, my favorite moment that we covered this year was Megan's return to Instagram. It was in January. Everybody was just minding their own, New Year business. And here comes the Duchess of Sussex on Instagram, barefoot on the beach, writing 2025 in the sand. We all knew that she was going to get back on Instagram at some point because she had alluded to that in the Cut interview, but nobody knew the time or date. So it really did come as a surprise when she just came frolicking on the beach one day on Instagram. And it quickly amassed millions of followers. And even right now, it is at 4.3 million followers. She also dropped As Ever this year, and that has amassed a massive following as well. Almost 1 million followers last time I checked. Writing the year like that in the sand was an affirmation. She knew what she had in the works. She knew what she had in the pipeline at that time. We had no idea what she was going to unleash. As Ever has been massive. Her year has been massive. It's just been chock full of awards and keynote speeches and recognition and drops and all the things. This has been a fabulous year for the Sussexes, and I cannot wait to see what happens in 2026. Let me know what your favorite moment of 2025 was.